You know, I was just wondering why you joined us here for the seminar. What's attracted you to General Longstreet?
I'm an author, and kind of stumbled upon the General Longstreet story, and I'm fascinated by it. And I am particularly interested in his career. I'm interested in his whole career, but I'm particularly interested in his career after the Civil War. So I wanted to come here, and I've never been to Chickamauga before, and I wanted to see that. And I also wanted to just make some contacts and talk with some people about him, and people that know him a lot better than I do, to just try to get an idea of if I'm on the right track with this, and where I could go with the story, and where I might be able to find information. So, and meeting the kind of people, I was fascinated with it, like who would belong to the Longstreet Society. I just think it's such an unusual organization that I just thought it would be cool to see who was here, and I've thoroughly enjoyed talking with everybody. There's people from all over the place here.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Dan Paterson. I'm a great-grandson of General Longstreet. My brother and I are both great-grandsons. We're through our mother, Jamie Longstreet Patterson, who's from Gainesville, where the hotel is, and the hotel was my grandmother's house. And a little history of this painting is, I knew that there were two copies. Helen Dortch Longstreet, the general's second wife, had this painting commissioned, and they had a copy made of it, okay? And when I was a kid, I didn't know which one was the copy and which one was real, but eventually I found out that this one was the real one, and then the one in Gettysburg was a facsimile. So when Gettysburg went to shut down their original visitor center and open up their new modern visitor center, I contacted them and asked them what they were going to do with their painting, and was able to get in touch with the people that were doing the exhibits, and it was through them that I found out that they were going to mothball the facsimile painting that they've had up there for years. And I was able to contact them and put them in touch with the Longstreet Society, and that's how we got the painting down there. So I was very happy about that. I really wanted them to put that facsimile. I didn't really care which one was which, but I wanted them to put that in a prominent place. If you've ever been up to Gettysburg, the original visitor center, which has been a long time ago now, but they had Longstreet's painting, not in a place like this, but it was off in the corner, you know, by the gun exhibit cabinet, so you had to really go back in the corner of the building to go find it. But that's the story.
What stands out to you come back here to Chickamauga?
It's not just the Longstreet and the Civil War history. It's a place that I came to quite frequently when we were kids, visiting my grandmother down here. So it's you know, the history is the obvious thing, but it's also coming back to a place we visited frequently when I was a kid. So, you know, and that's some of the pictures I showed you last night. So this was one of the places we visited a lot. So it's kind of like a lot of memories here, not just history memories, but as kids running around here, and you know, for the first time. So
anything else you wanted to share before
I just
enjoy the rest of the visit?
I just think it's great to be here. It's been quite a number of years since I was last here.
So I just recently had a book published in February of this year. It's called Longstreet at Gettysburg, A Critical Reassessment. What initially got me interested in Longstreet, I probably have to give the credit to the Gettysburg movie for igniting the passion for Longstreet's military abilities, and just my interest in Longstreet in general. And then obviously after I saw the movie, I was quite young at the time. I saw it in 1995, then I went back and read The Killer Angels. And then from that point, I started studying the Battle of Gettysburg quite seriously, and kind of over the decades, reading the secondary sources on the battle and comparing it to a lot of the primary sources, I was seeing a lot of gaps between certain primary sources not being included in secondary sources. A lot of, I think, throughout the Battle of Gettysburg and how Longstreet was portrayed afterwards, he was quite misrepresented on the second and third days of the battle. So just trying to right a lot of the wrongs that I saw, bring to the fore a lot of the sources that I don't think were included in a lot of the histories, going back to Douglas Southall Freeman, Bruce Catton, Clifford Doughty, and even up to the present day with some modern authors.
You mentioned righting the wrongs. Why do you think there was so much misinformation about General Longstreet out there?
I think, well, initially the story starts in just after the end of the war. In 1866, Longstreet gave some interviews for a book written by William Swinton. It's called The Campaigns of the Army of the Potomac, where Longstreet went on to tell Swinton maybe some of the things that he had suggested to General Lee at the Battle of Gettysburg. Longstreet questioned some of Lee's judgment, and he relayed that to Swinton for Swinton's book. Subsequent to that, Longstreet became a Republican in the South, which was anathema in the South at the time. And also he became he was always good friends with Ulysses S. Grant, but he rekindled his relationship with Ulysses S. Grant, served in several Republican administrations throughout the end of the 19th century. Many other ex-Confederate officers did not like this one bit. So subsequent to Robert E. Lee's death in 1870, they were looking for a way to blame Longstreet for the loss at Gettysburg. They felt that the Battle of Gettysburg was the high point for the Confederacy. It was the most important battle of the war. That was their opinion.
Yes.
Robert E. Lee certainly could not be blamed for that loss. So they had to find someone else to pin the blame on. Who better than the low-hanging fruit, the low-hanging Republican fruit, James Longstreet, Robert E. Lee's second in command. So subsequent to that, there was for about 3 decades after that, Longstreet was pilloried by Jubal Early, William Pendleton, John B. Gordon, several other ex-Confederate officers who tried to pin the blame on Longstreet for probably some of the things that Lee may have miscalculated at the battle.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Just some closing remarks. What have you enjoyed most about the seminar so far?
I think just being with the people that I've corresponded with over the past year or so. Harold Knudsen, obviously Longstreet's great-grandson, Dan Paterson, Richard Pilcher, and William Garrett Piston. Just putting, I've seen pictures of them, but obviously to meet them and speak with them and spend this time with them, and especially here at the Chickamauga battlefield, has been quite an honor and a pleasure.